Hello, everybody. My name is Teacher Kerry. I live in Johannesburg, South Africa, and I used to teach fifth grade natural science, biology, and now I teach technology all the time for 4-year-olds to 9-year-olds. And I also do esports. Does anybody like to play Minecraft or know of Minecraft?
No, not many students here. They are not aware of the Minecrafts and technical related games because we don't have the computer science in our school curriculum. So unfortunately, they badly need that. So, so we are expecting the curriculum to be changed maybe in the future. Yes.
Oh, that's I do hope it does change for you too, because we've also started changing our curriculums here in South Africa to include robotics and coding as well. So that starts next year.
Yeah, robotics and coding are the two important subjects that are ruling the entire world. All the students, especially whether it is India or South Africa, whoever it may be, they love to shine their knowledge in these two subjects because these two subjects are most demanding these days. Yeah,
it is.
Your question. Try to introduce yourself first.
My name is Sindhu. I'm studying class 6. My hobbies are reading books and drawing pictures. My future ambition is to become an English teacher.
That's lovely, Shindu. I was also an English teacher in the very beginning of my career.
Yes, ma'am.
Sindhu, ask your question.
You must keep reading your books, love. You must keep reading your books.
Yes, ma'am. Can I ask you one question?
You may, my angel.
Yes, ma'am. Do South African students study about Mahatma Gandhi in their textbooks?
We do. We learn about Mahatma Gandhi in 5th grade, which is 10-year-olds turning 11. I actually prepared a PowerPoint presentation to show you where Mahatma Gandhi lived in the Phoenix settlement, about 30 minutes from where I grew up as a child. I've actually been to his house. So yes, we do learn about him, and he's covered a lot in our curriculum. Even when we get to 18 years old in matric, we learn about him and his movement as well, and his involvement in apartheid here. So yes, there are quite a few monuments dedicated to Gandhi in South Africa. Many.
Okay, and in the same time, we too have Nelson Mandela in our 9th class textbook, English textbook. We have the lesson. Our students learned the Nelson Mandela, and there are many lessons about South Africa in our social studies as well. We do respect South African great leader Nelson Mandela as you respect our leader. And India and South Africa have the very good cordial relationship as far as the relationship and legacy and everything, I think, identical.
Very much so.
Yes.
Maybe next time I can do a history lesson on Mahatma Gandhi in South Africa. Maybe we can make some time for you and the students, Hari.
Definitely. So, Jagadish, it's your turn.
Hello, ma'am. My name is Jagdish. I'm studying 8th grade at ZPHS Hyderabad. My hobbies are playing games and watching TV. My future ambition is to become an English teacher.
Also, that's a very good ambition. That means you have to read lots of books, hey?
Yes, ma'am.
And what do you like reading?
Storybooks, ma'am.
Storybooks. What are your favorite stories?
The Duck and Cat one, the book, sir.
Okay, animal book.
Very cool. Very cool.
Ask your question.
Can I ask you one question, ma'am?
Of course you may.
What does the South Africa flag symbolizes?
That's a very good question. And we've got different colors to mean different things. I even need to remember now. Blue was for the oceans. Green was for our landscape because we have lots of open land. Yellow is for gold. We are one of the very few countries, I think we produce about, I want to say 25, 30% of the gold that's supplied to the world. Sure. I want to say red is for all the hardship we've gone through, the blood that has been spilled, unfortunately. And also another thing with the green is a hope for a better, greener future going ahead. You know?
Yes.
And that's what that's what I remember from 5th grade.
My name is Sarah Akshit. I'm studying 6th class A section. My hobbies are reading books and playing games. My future ambition is to become a scientist.
A scientist. That's so exciting, Sai. Are you going to be a scientist that works with plants and medicine, or a scientist that looks at space and the stars?
Medicine.
Plants or space? Do you have any specific idea about your future ambition? Plants. Oh.
Ah, very good.
Yes, sir.
So go ahead and ask the question.
Ma'am, can I ask? Okay, sir. How Indians are treated in your country?
Well, you must understand, that's a very good question, Sai. And we treat Indians as a very much part of our heritage and our country's culture, because India sent us indentured laborers. They came over on work contracts. I want to say 1860 was the first ship that came through to come and farm sugarcane. And your countries were the only ones that had the correct weather for sugarcane. And the British were making lots of money off of sugar. And because the British were also in charge of South Africa, they brought the Indians over to share their knowledge with us. So the Indian population now is obviously treated with much respect because they are part of, you know, everyone's got the same human rights. But back in the apartheid days, it was very hard for them as well, because anyone who was not white didn't get the same treatment or the same rights and privileges as white people. But I'm happy to say that now everything's a lot better for everybody, especially the Indians.
Okay.
But in the very early days of South Africa, it was very hard for anyone who wasn't white, you know? But I'm glad it's not like that anymore. I was born right towards the end of apartheid. So in the late 80s, early 90s, we started bringing children school was for everybody, no matter your color. So I've only ever known a South Africa where I had friends of color. You know, I just didn't go to school with white people, if that makes sense. So I'm very, very grateful that I didn't see what happened before I was born, because from what I hear, it was quite sad. It was very horrible.
So there was.
What kind of education system does South Africa have?
Oh, okay. So in South Africa, we have private education, which is obviously not funded by the government. The children's parents pay for all of the funding for those schools. And then you got government schools that are funded by the government. And we obviously, private schools and government schools, our curriculums differ slightly. We do also have some private schools that run on the Cambridge curriculum that comes from England. But mostly in South Africa, you are either in a government school or a private school. I teach at a private school.
I have a.
That is a very hard one to say, Harry. I'm actually, honestly, I'm not too sure, because it just depends on your location. Some of the cities in South Africa have good government schools. So like Johannesburg has good government schools, state schools. So there are a lot of children that go to those. Or there's even very good private schools in the cities. So then the parents and children can choose which schools they want to go to because the schools are good in the cities. It's the schools in the outer lying areas that are mostly government schools. And that's where we have not as many resources as the schools in the city, if that makes sense. I hope the children understand what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Our government schools do give free textbooks and stationery and meals, and like a breakfast or a lunch. But in terms of uniforms and extra stationery and books, that is still, the parents still have to pay for. But luckily there are businesses and people who sponsor various schools, so they are able to help the people who cannot afford the extra things that come with schooling, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Yes.
What makes you proud in South Africa?
What makes me proud?
Yes, ma'am.
There's so much that I'm proud about for being South African and being where I live. If I had to pick one, it would be how people are coming together to move forward, to make sure that change is made for a better future, continue to go forward. That's what makes me proud, that we keep going together.
What do you teach as a technology teacher?
Wow, that is a very good question, Sai. I came into technology as a mistake. It found me. When I came to my school, I was teaching English, history, maths, and science to 5th grade. And then they asked me, would I mind taking an extra subject? And that was the technology. So we do computer coding and robotics. And it was a brand new subject in my school. And I said yes. And now that's all I teach is technology. And I'm also in charge of creating the curriculum for my school from the 3-year-olds to the 13, 14-year-olds. So yes, I fell into it by mistake, but I love it very much because I get to learn with my children and we have lots of fun.
So I must
a few free apps that I can suggest to you. And what I'll do is I will put it in an email to you, to Teacher Harry, and then he can share it with you. And you can start working on updating your technology skills and getting some certifications, some badges on the Microsoft Learn for Students platform. Is that a good idea for you, Nagalakshmi? I don't have my glasses on.
Yeah.
I hope I said that right. I'm
Yeah.
smiling because her name is very beautiful. I know there's a goddess named Lakshmi.
Exactly. You rightly guessed it. Probably you might have some Indian population in your neighborhood. Am I right?
Yes. So I grew up in Durban. Durban has the largest population of people from India outside of Asia.
Yes.
So all my friends, because I grew up in Durban, where there was the Phoenix and Stanger settlement from the days back when Mahatma Gandhi was there. So all my friends at school, I was the only white friend. All my friends were Indians.
So that means you must have learned a lot of information about Indian culture and tradition.
Correct. And I've also been taught about the different styles of Indian cuisine from, there's a difference between North Indian and South Indian, correct?
Exactly.
And yes, I grew up eating curry and roti properly with my hands. So when I met my husband when I was 18, he was very intrigued that I was eating curry the traditional way. with my hands, because with white people, they eat with knives and forks. But I've always told them for the last 20 years, that's how I've eaten my curry, and that's how I will continue to eat my curry.
Oh, so I bet that you won't have any problem if you visit India, and if you travel from north to south, you don't have any problem of food, because you are already used to it.
I will be fine. I'm actually, hopefully, when I turn 40 in the next 6 years, I'm saving up to come to India for my 40th birthday. That's my dream.
Definitely, you are most welcome. And please let me know about your date and maybe your arrival time, so that if there is any possibility, my students and me are going to invite you to our school.
Yes, I'd love that.
Yeah.
How important is it to integrate technology with our teaching subject?
That's a very good question. I would say it's very important, because children like you today learn very differently. You have only known a world with technology, and your jobs one day are going to have lots of technology in it. So it is very important that you have some skills as you grow and go through school, so that by the time you get to college and university, it will be easy for you, if that makes sense.
Yes.
Especially for you as a doctor. We've actually got a robot here in Johannesburg, just about 45 minutes from me. It's a robot. There's a doctor here that uses a robot to do kidney surgery.
Oh, that's I think robotic technology is also being used in medical sciences. So I think,
Correct.
yes,
So
What kind of technology should teacher of 21st century be equipped with to become successful teachers?
goodness me. I would say definitely computer skills. Whether you are learning how to use a Microsoft computer or an Apple computer, or even Google apps, definitely have some sort of computer background for teaching, and how to use the technology in your teaching is very important, because not everything is going to be able to teach children the way they need to learn.
yes. Any more? Okay.
Okay, hang on. Okay, so this is one of our natural heritage sites here. This is Table Mountain. Let's put this on a big one for you. Can you see that, Harry?
Yes, we can see.
Okay, so that is Table Mountain, and you find that in Cape Town, in the Western Cape. It's basically called Table Mountain because it's flat on the top. I've got a better picture for you just now. Here is another monument here in South Africa called the Voortrekker Monument. This is 45 to 50 minutes down the road from me. And this is a big building that was built to commemorate a group of people who are the Afrikaners here. They speak Afrikaans. And they were called Voortrekkers because voor means to go forward and trek means to go or to journey. And the Voortrekkers left Cape Town, or the Western Cape, to go through to, it's okay. They traveled across South Africa between 4 to 5 months to go and establish their own colony in KZN, which is today's Durban. It was a very long journey. They were leaving the British colonists. There's Mahatma Gandhi's house. It's a very terrible photo. It's very pixelated. So, Teacher Harry, I'm going to have to send you a link to this website where you can actually go through his house in Phoenix. So this was just around the corner from where I grew up. And then 5 facts about South Africa is that the lion, the cheetah, and the wildebeest, it's like a big cow, or I guess it's almost like cattle, but it's a wildebeest, are 3 of the 5 fastest animals in the world, and they all live in South Africa. South Africa is in size 3 times the size of Texas and 5 times the size of Japan. I thought that was quite interesting. South Africa has 11 official languages. I unfortunately only speak 2 of the 11. Durban has the largest population of Indians outside of India and Asia itself, and that's because of the settlers. And I would like to know, do you know what the bunny chow is, class?
We don't know.
This is the bunny chow, Teacher Harry. And this was created in Durban, South Africa by the Indian settlers because they were working on the farms and working in town. And at that time, because of the laws, they were not allowed into the restaurants. So what someone very cleverly decided to do was to, because the Indians were still getting used to the food where, you know, in South Africa, they decided to cook the curry for them, but so they could take the meals outside the restaurants and back to work. They used bread loaves. They basically cut the breads in half, pulled out the piece of inside of the bread, and then put the curry inside the bread. And they just called it a bunny chow. We don't know why bunny chow, but it's called the bunny chow. And it's very tasty. And I can't even find that here in Johannesburg. So I only get to have bunny chows when I go home. But I'm happy to say I've found a very nice North Indian restaurant 5 minutes down the road from me. So I can have lamb vindaloo if I want to have lamb vindaloo, or even if I want a nice korma, which I'm actually going to go fetch this evening for dinner.
So quite interesting, and thank you so much for sharing that delicious item. Being a South Indians, most of the South Indians, their palates are different from the Northern Indian palates, and we prefer spicy food, and they prefer the roti and the koma, as you have just mentioned. We are the people of eating rice more. We eat more rice. They eat more wheat. So a little bit difference.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
I've never thought of it that way because I'm more accustomed to like I don't know how to pronounce it in your language, but butter chicken. When I want to say it's the North Indian one. It's got more of the tomato base in it.
Yes.
Am I right?
Yes, exactly.
Okay.
I agree with you. So yeah, currently we have 4 minutes time is left before we end this session. Could you please give a final message to my students? But I request you to add the importance of robotics, the importance of coding in your message, please.
So boys and girls, thank you very much for meeting with me today. Thank you to Teacher Harry. I hope that next time we meet, I get to learn a little bit more about your city and your culture as well. I like to learn new things, so we will make another time where you get to teach me. But remember, with coding and robotics and computer sciences, 65% of your jobs, and my children are 6 and 4 years old, 65% of your future jobs haven't been created yet because of technology. So I implore you, I encourage you to try and start learning some skills now so that you are ready for your futures. These skills will also help you in subjects like mathematics, chemistry, physics, and all your sciences as well, because it teaches you how to think. And you can think everywhere, can't you? All the subjects. So I encourage you to, when Teacher Harry passes on those websites where you can start learning, I encourage you to go and start learning. And it might be hard at first, but remember, don't give up.